Hello bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you a reading vlog / review of Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. Today is the start of a very exciting video, a very special video. A group of people in the World Hoppers group have gotten together and decided to do a little twist on a Secret Santa video. This was all Andy from Andy Smith's idea, so genius idea, Andy. I'm so glad you put this together. But basically, the people who were interested in participating were assigned randomly another World Hopper, and then we had to go and research the World Hopper that we were assigned, the booktuber that we were assigned, and find one of their favorite books to read and review on our channel. And if you haven't heard of World Hoppers before, it is this collaborative booktube channel that I am a part of. I will have it linked down in the description box so you guys can go check it out if you want. We make really fun collaborative videos on this channel, and all of the AdSense and revenue that we get from it are all donated to charity. We have a really fun group of booktubers participating in our World Hoppers group, many of whom you have yet to meet because there's a lot of them and we haven't had a chance to feature them on the World Hoppers channel yet, but you will meet them. But the person that I was assigned is someone that, if you've been watching World Hoppers, you have already met. It's someone who's been in a couple of our videos already, and that is Alan from the Library of Alexandria. I will link his channel down below. If you like funny, really high energy, and opinionated booktubers, you definitely need to check out Alan's channel because he is a hoot. He participated in a couple of our unpopular opinion videos on the World Hoppers channel because he apparently has quite a few unpopular opinions and he's very passionate about them, which just made for such a fun time. He also kind of has eclectic taste, I think, and it's always nice to find booktubers who talk about different books, you know? So I will say that Alan loves The Discworld by Terry Pratchett, and his favorite Discworld book is Guards, Guards. And he has said a few times that it's a pretty decent place to start with Discworld because, you know, Discworld has a ton of books, a bunch of series within the world, and he's often recommending Guards, Guards as a place to start. So I had considered reading Guards, Guards. I've never really been super interested in the Discworld books. I'm not really sure if like humorous fantasy, which I think it has a more specific name, but I wasn't sure if I was really into that kind of fantasy. I didn't know if I would really like it, but I thought, you know what? I was assigned Alan. I know that this is his favorite book. I should give it a try. So that was the direction I was going to take with this Secret Santa video. I decided to check out the Amazon preview pages just to see what the writing style was like because I was a little nervous. Reading Guards, Guards would have been outside of my comfort zone. And unfortunately, after reading the preview chapter, I decided that I probably should not pick up Guards, Guards because I was pretty sure I was going to DNF it. I tried to read the preview chapter and I could hardly follow what was going on. Just the writing style was not a good fit for me, and I could tell right off the bat that was not the way to go. So then I turned to Alan's next two favorite books. I know he really likes the Senlin Ascends series, or I guess the series is called the Tower of Babel series, with the first book being Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft, and he's also a huge fan of the Greatcoat series by Sebastian de Castell, both which are already on my TBR, like my nebulous I'm interested in this TBR. As you can see, I decided to go with Senlin Ascends, and really the main reason for that is because I already owned the ebook for it. Because I already owned a copy of it, I said, you know what, let's go with this one. Okay, so that's a little bit of background on this video, why I'm even reading this book, some information about Alan and why you should go check him out. I have started Senlin Ascends. I have it on ebook. I also requested a physical copy from my library, but it's not quite in yet. I'm like 2 chapters in maybe, and I'm not going to tell you what I think of it quite yet because I'm going to check in again, I think at like the 25, 50, 75% marks, and then at the end of the book with my final thoughts. So I just wanted to sit down and film this intro, let you guys know what this video is all about, and I will check in with you guys again when I've read about a quarter of the book. Hey guys, so it is time for a Senlin Ascends update. I've read about a quarter of the book. That is 110 pages. I've actually finished part 1. I don't know how many parts the book is split into, but I finished part 1, which is this much. I've read this much of it. I went and picked up a physical copy from my library today, even though I've mostly just been reading it on my ebook copy. And I definitely have some thoughts. I am enjoying it, but I'm also like confused a lot. It's really weird. I kind of feel like I'm reading Alice in Wonderland for adults. I mean, I haven't actually read Alice in Wonderland, but you know how Alice in Wonderland is just like really quirky and like all these weird random things keep happening, and you know, it's kind of like an acid trip or something. Not that I've ever done that before, but that's how I feel about this book. I guess I never really said in my first clip what this book is supposed to be about, so let me just read the back real quick. Mild-mannered headmaster Thomas Senlin prefers his adventures to be safely contained within the pages of a book. So when he loses his new bride shortly after embarking on the honeymoon of their dreams, he is ill-prepared for the trouble that follows. To find her, Senlin must enter the Tower of Babel, a world of geniuses and tyrants, of luxury and menace, of unusual animals and mysterious machines. He must endure betrayal, assassination attempts, and the illusions of the tower. And if he ever hopes to see his wife again, he will have to do more than just survive. This quiet man of letters must become a man of action. That's what the book is about, and in the very beginning of the book, Senlin is with his wife. They are on their honeymoon, and they go to the Tower of Babel, and before they can even enter the tower, he loses her. And for the rest of the book, I'm presuming he is going into the Tower of Babel and trying to find his wife, because one of the last things she said to him was, if we get separated, I'll see you at the top or something. But yeah, the book is just really weird, and there's all these like weird random things happening. I would say that I feel like it doesn't have any direction, except that the direction is that he's looking for his wife. But the things that are happening to him just are really quirky, random, weird things, and the tower is just like so weird. But at the same time, I'm not hating it. Like, I'm enjoying all these like surprises, and it's just really interesting. So I don't know, I am enjoying it, but I also like don't know if it's going to be a favorite at this point. I mean, I'm only a quarter of the way in. It's definitely just going to depend on how the rest of the book goes. But for the most part, I'd say I'm enjoying it. I do feel like some of these things that are happening might like have some meaning to them. Like they might be like metaphors or something, but if they are, they're definitely going over my head. Maybe they're not metaphors. Maybe they're just weird random things. And Josiah Bancroft just has a super creative, quirky mind. I don't really know. But my main takeaway from the first quarter of this book is that it's weird, but I like it. Pretty short update, but I don't really have too much more thoughts. Those are my initial feelings on the first quarter of this book. We'll see how things go from here. Alright, I will check in with you guys when I'm about halfway through with this book. Hey guys, I am here with another Senlin Ascends update. I am about 60, a little over 60% through, but I think less than 65, so like right around there. I'm on page 266. I meant to do a check-in a couple days ago when I was closer to 50%, but whoops, didn't happen. I have read this much, so I'm getting through it, and I'm still really enjoying it. I am not like loving it or anything, but I'm also not disliking it, which I was worried that I would. The main like adjective I can think to describe this book is that it's weird. Like weird things just keep happening, but I think the plot has gotten stronger over the last like 25-30% that I've read, and I'm definitely way more invested in Senlin than I was before. I'm also getting just like more accustomed to the Tower of Babel and the way life is there, so it seems less weird, but surprising things are still happening. Like this book is constantly surprising me. I think one thing that I struggled with early on was the writing style. The prose is quite pretty, but especially in the beginning, there were times where I had to reread sentences because they were a little bit like constructed in a convoluted way that I didn't always like immediately know what the author was saying. But I don't know if I've just gotten used to the writing style and now I just understand it more easily, or if it's gotten less convoluted. I don't really know, but I'm not finding it confusing or anything like that anymore. Another thing actually about the writing that has been a little bit weird for me, doesn't make me hate the story or anything, but it does pull me out of the story a little bit, is there have been two different instances of a change in the writing style. I mean, most of the book we're in Senlin's head. It seems to be like third person from Senlin's point of view. And then we got to a part of a story where he was learning about something else, about like something that happened to somebody else, and all of a sudden like we were in somebody else's head, but also it felt like we were in this other person's head. Like it kind of got to be a little bit of like an omniscient perspective, and that was a little bit jarring for me because for most of the book it's just been like third person perspective from Senlin's point of view. So like kind of the switching up of perspectives at a point where it just like seemed to make the storytelling easier for the author. Like, I don't love that. It's fine. And I still like enjoyed what I learned in that section, I guess. But it did pull me out of the story a little bit. And then I just read a part last night where all of a sudden we were getting journal entries from Senlin. That's fine too, but it's just like this mix of different ways of telling the story that's a little jarring, that's all. It's just like something that I noticed that I don't love, and it pulled me out of the story, but is also not terrible. But overall, like I said, I am really enjoying this. It's sitting at like a solid 4-star right now. It's keeping my interest. I'm invested in Senlin. I want him to find his wife. He seems like such a like nice person, and I want good things for him, and I'm invested in his storyline. And interesting things keep happening, things that keep surprising me. Like I never know where the book or story is going to go next because things just keep coming out of left field, and it kind of keeps you on your toes. So those are my thoughts so far. I will check in again probably around the 80% mark before we get into the final stretch and let you know what I'm thinking at that point, and then of course when I'm done with it. I will talk to you guys later. Hey guys, so I have finally reached about the 80% mark in Senlin Ascends. I am on page 330, so I've read this much of it and just have this much to go. And I really enjoyed the last section that I've read. At this point in the book, I'm way more attached to Senlin, and I'm invested in like his plot and the relationships that he has, and I don't know, it's hard to talk about keeping it spoiler free, but I'm just really invested in Senlin and what's going on with him, and I really like the plot things that happened in this part of the book. Another thing I wanted to add that I haven't mentioned yet is that this book does have a bit of a steampunk setting. It's pretty light on the steampunk stuff until like the 40 to 50% mark. I think like the last 30% that I've been reading has definitely amped up the steampunk setting. Like from the beginning, you know that there are... Guys, I'm recording here. From the beginning, you know that there are like airships and stuff, but in this section, you're like in a part of the tower where there's also like horseless carriage things. They call them something else, but you know, steam-powered horseless carriages. So the steampunk element has definitely been amped up in this last section that I've read. And just some really exciting things have been happening. The ending of what I just read, the chapter that I just read, was super intriguing, and I'm very nervous for what's going to happen next, but at the same time, I'm just very ready to see how this book ends, to see where this last 20% takes me. I really am liking the way I'm seeing, like in the beginning, guys, I'm recording. In the beginning, I kept saying, like, it's just so weird and quirky. And it still is a little weird and quirky, but some of those earlier plot lines or, like, things that have happened are coming into play now. Like, things are being kind of tied together and coming to a head, which I really appreciate. It gives a little more... I don't know, not meaning to those earlier, what seemed random scenes, but it's just like the pieces of the puzzle are coming together, so I'm really appreciating that. I think it's still a solid 4 stars, maybe leaning 4.5. I don't know if I'm going to end up loving it enough to give it a 5 stars, but I am definitely thoroughly enjoying my time reading it, and I've gotten really attached to Senlin. He's definitely had a bit of a, you know, character growth. He starts out being like a really naive character and just kind of happy-go-lucky and expects the best out of everyone, and then the tower is like not what he expected, and he learns from that, and he becomes a lot more calculating, and I really appreciate that in his character. and I am just really excited to see where it's going to go next. So I am going to keep reading, and I will check in with you guys probably tomorrow after I finish the book. Hey guys, so I have finished Senlin Ascends, and I'm here to tell you about my final thoughts on this book. So the last 20% of this book I really enjoyed. It was pretty intense and action-packed, which most of the book wasn't very actiony, so I was kind of surprised at how much action there was at the end, and I really liked it. I will say there was like one thing that I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be like a plot twist or a surprise. I think it's one of those things that some people will guess and some people won't. I guessed it, but being able to guess that surprise didn't ruin the book for me, because it was like I could see a train wreck coming and I was just like so anxious to see how it was going to play out. Like I just had this really bad feeling about it, and I knew something bad was going to happen, and I was like frustrated that Senlin couldn't see it because I don't want bad things to happen to Senlin. Even though I saw that thing coming, I still really enjoyed the book because it just added to the sense of foreboding that I had coming towards the end. I was really torn about what to rate this book as a final rating. It's definitely a 4.5 star, but I was really torn about rounding it up to a 5 or rounding it down to a 4. And I think I've settled on rounding it down to a 4, but it's definitely a high 4. I really enjoyed this. I did struggle with it a little bit at the beginning, and I'm just not like totally head over heels for it, so I feel like I can't quite give it a 5-star rating, but it was really good. It definitely surprised me. In the beginning, I kept talking about how weird this book is. It's definitely really unique, and I don't read a lot of like steampunky type fantasies, so that was another thing that added to the uniqueness for me. But yeah, just the beginning, the plot just seemed kind of like all over the place, and I didn't understand why all these random things seemed to be happening to Senlin. And I will say that one of the things I enjoyed about the ending is some of those things that seemed random, now looking back on them, seemed to have a purpose in the plot, and I really appreciated that, and being able to see kind of the puzzle pieces come together. And it was really funny, you know, I started editing this vlog, watching me talk about some of those parts about how it's so random and weird and quirky, which it is, but it also kind of isn't. Like, it makes sense by the time you get to the end of the book. Like, I understand the Tower of Babel so much more now at the end of the book than I did at the beginning, which also makes sense because Senlin, he does not know what he's getting into when he goes to the Tower of Babel. He has this whole like idealized idea of what it is in his head, and it is something totally different. I just really enjoyed like slowly unraveling the nature of the tower and like who some of these people in the tower are and how it all goes together and stuff. I will also say that this is definitely the first book in a series. Like, obviously I already knew it was the first book in a series, but you know how some series, each book can kind of stand on its own a little bit? I don't feel like this has its own story arc. Like, I can see why the story stops here where it does, but it's definitely just like the beginning of an adventure, and I'm definitely going to continue on in the series. I want to see what happens next. I'm very invested in Senlin and some of his friends that he's made by the end of this book, and I want to know what's going to happen to them. But it's definitely not one of those like more episodic type series where the first book can really stand on its own. It can't. Like, it's not a full story. There's definitely a lot more story to tell, and I'm very excited to read more of that story next year. I think those are all my thoughts on this book. I'm glad that I finally got around to reading this. It's been on my like nebulous TBR for a while, so I'm really glad for this Secret Santa project that nudged me to read this, and I can totally see why this is one of Alan's favorite books. It's definitely a unique fantasy, at least out of the fantasies that I have read, and I am looking forward to reading more of Josiah Bancroft in the future. Alright guys, that was my Senlin Ascends journey. I hope you guys enjoyed this spoiler-free reading vlog slash review of Senlin Ascends. Definitely go check out Alan's channel. It will be linked down below. Like I said, he's a really like enthusiastic, hilarious, and outspoken, opinionated booktuber, and if you're not watching him, you definitely should be. I will also have linked down below the playlist of all of the other world hoppers that participated in the Secret Santa project and all of the videos that they made, so that you can get to know some more of the other world hoppers and find out what some of their favorite books are, including mine. I have no idea who got me for the Secret Santa project, and I don't know which of my favorite books they read. I'm very nervous to find out. Hopefully they ended up liking whichever of my favorite books they picked. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. That is all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye.